You are listening to the Coins, Currency, and American History podcast, presented by Littleton Coin Company. Every great civilization leaves behind its ruins, its art, and its heroes. But the story of America can be told through something smaller, something we can hold in our hands. A coin. Coins are the fingerprints of a nation. This is the story of the United States of America. From colonies to social experiment to global economic leader. Episode 33. Cryptocurrencies challenge the fiat system. The autumn of 2008 felt unsettled. Banks that had seemed unshakable were suddenly in trouble. Credit that flowed easily for years began to freeze. Bear Stearns had collapsed in March. In September, the fall of Lehman Brothers triggered a full-blown financial crisis. Families watched the evening news and wondered how far the damage would spread. The government scrambled to enact emergency measures. For many, confidence in traditional financial institutions was shaken. Then, on October 31, 2008, a short 9-page document was published under the name Satoshi Nakamoto. No one knew then, or knows with certainty now, their true identity. The paper was titled Bitcoin, a peer-to-peer electronic cash system, and it described a new form of electronic money, one that would operate without banks or central authorities, and without the need to trust any single institution. Instead, transactions would be recorded on a shared public ledger maintained by a network of computers. The system would rely on cryptography and computational work rather than institutional guarantees. Individuals, not banks or governments, would have direct control over their finances. It was a radical idea, offered at a moment when the old system was under visible strain, and it would challenge the financial fabric of the world. On January 3, 2009, the Bitcoin network came to life. The first block of the chain, later called the Genesis block, contained a quiet reference to the times. Embedded in the data was a headline from the day's edition of The Times of London: Chancellor on brink of second bailout for banks. The message was clear enough. This new system was offered as an alternative to a financial order that had just required massive public support to stay afloat. The first transaction on the network took place a little more than a week later. A small number of early participants began experimenting with the software. For several years, Bitcoin remained a curiosity known mainly to cryptography enthusiasts and a handful of technologists. However, other digital currencies soon followed. Litecoin appeared in 2011, created by a former Google engineer as a variation on Bitcoin's design with faster block times. Ethereum launched in 2015 with a broader purpose, a platform that could run programmable contracts and applications on its own blockchain, while San Francisco-based Ripple's XRP focused on cross-border payments. A long list of other experimental coins entered the public conversation in the same period, but not everything went smoothly. Some early platforms that handled these new digital assets failed spectacularly. Other early digital currency experiments from the 1990s and early 2000s, such as DigiCash and eGold, had already shown how technical and legal challenges could end promising projects. And it happened again. In 2014, the Tokyo-based exchange Mt. Gox, which at its peak handled a large share of Bitcoin transactions, collapsed after a major security breach. Hundreds of thousands of Bitcoins went missing. And the event became a cautionary story about the risks of centralized intermediaries even in a decentralized system. Despite these setbacks, the cryptocurrency movement slowly gained momentum. For centuries, the power to create and regulate money had rested with governments and the institutions they chartered. These new systems proposed that networks of participants, bound by code and shared rules, could issue and transfer value without those intermediaries. It seemed a revolutionary concept, but without precedent. Americans had seen private and alternative forms of money before. In the 17th century, Massachusetts colonists minted their own silver coins, the pine tree shillings and their relatives, in quiet defiance of royal authority. Those pieces circulated because they were both needed and accepted. Later, colonial assemblies issued paper bills of credit. Private banks in the 19th century flooded the country with their own notes, and gold and silver rushes repeatedly pulled hard money into new territories, leaving local economies scrambling for reliable currency. These episodes raise the same underlying questions. Who decides what counts as money? What makes people willing to accept it? How much trust is required? And just where does that trust rest? Cryptocurrencies offered a different answer. Instead of metal or paper issued by a colony, bank, or government, they were digital money, whose value would be created and secured by mathematics and distributed computing. And to maintain trust, the ledgers would be public. What's more, Bitcoin's supply was programmed to approach a fixed limit. Unlike paper money, no single authority could print more at will. Nevertheless, not everyone trusted the new digital currencies. And so even as digital monetary networks grew, the United States Mint continued to strike physical coins for commerce and collectors. The long-running National Park Quarters program, launched in 2010, reached its conclusion in 2021 with the Tuskegee Airmen National Historic Site Quarter. That final design closed a 12-year series of 56 circulating commemorative quarters honoring national parks and historic sites across the nation and its territories. In the same year, the U.S. Mint released a new one-year-only quarter honoring General George Washington crossing the Delaware. Its reverse, or tail side, depicted Washington and his troops' historic trip across the icy river on the night of December 25, 1776, on the eve of the Battle of Trenton. The obverse, or head side, restored John Flanagan's original classic portrait of Washington that had graced quarters before the statehood and national park quarter programs began. The following year brought yet another multi-year circulating program. From 2022 through 2025, the Mint issued U.S. women quarters at the rate of 5 new reverse designs each year, honoring the contributions of American women in fields ranging from literature to science to civil rights, aviation, and sports. The series gave collectors a steady stream of new circulating coins to pursue while digital currency headlines continued to appear. And quarters weren't the only series to collect. The Mint also introduced the U.S. Innovation Dollars program. Scheduled to run from 2018 through 2032, this new $1 coin series began with a single design featuring a stylized gear and an image of the first U.S. President George Washington's signature as it appeared on the first U.S. patent, which was granted to Samuel Hopkins for his improved process of manufacturing potash and pearl ash on January 31, 1790. Following this introductory issue, the series changed to 4 new innovation dollars each year, celebrating inventions and innovators from each state, the District of Columbia, and the territories of Puerto Rico, Guam, American Samoa, U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Northern Mariana Islands. Bullion coins remained popular too. Demand for American silver eagles and gold eagles also remained strong during years of financial stress and public discussion of digital alternatives. They offered tangible ownership of precious metal in clear contrast to paper dollars and purely digital assets, and were sought by collectors and the public even as the number of cryptocurrencies multiplied. The rise of cryptocurrencies forced older debates back into headlines with new language. Supporters saw systems free from political influence and institutional failure, while critics pointed to volatility, energy use, regulatory uncertainty, and the difficulty of recovering lost or stolen digital assets. Meanwhile, governments and central banks began to study the technology, even as they asserted their own authority over the monetary system. And through it all, everyday American coinage continued its quiet work. Quarters, nickels, dimes, and dollars still passed from hand to hand, The Mint kept producing circulating coins and collector programs, and the Bureau of Engraving and Printing kept printing Federal Reserve notes. The physical and the digital existed side by side. Reminder that money has always been a mixture of technology, trust, law, and social agreement. By the middle of the 2010s and into the 2020s, cryptocurrencies had moved from obscure forums into public conversation. Bitcoin remained the best-known example. Ethereum, Litecoin, and many others expanded the range of experiments even as early failures like the Mt. Gox collapse served as stark reminders of the risks that accompanied the new systems. These digital currencies had not replaced the US dollar or the coins in American pockets. It was an exciting time for coin collectors, with the end of the National Park quarters and new US women quarters and innovation dollars, and American silver eagles, gold eagles, and other bullion coins remained as popular as ever. Still, cryptocurrencies had challenged long-standing assumptions of how money must be created and controlled. And the response would shape the next chapter of the American monetary story. In the next episode of Coins, Currency, and American History, the established financial system meets the digital age on its own terms as central banks explore new forms of currency, while the dollar continues to rest on institutions, productive capacity, and public confidence. Next time, fiat currency backed by the future. We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Coins, Currency, and American History podcast presented by Littleton Coin Company. You can find out more about coins and currency in our free Learn Center at www.littletoncoin.com/learn. It's filled with fascinating facts about U.S. coins, world coins, ancient coins, paper money, and more, as well as helpful tips for collectors of all levels. You'll even find free collector guides, checklists, and virtual albums to help you get started and keep track of your growing collection. And while you're there, be sure to check out our online store. Visit www.littletoncoin.com today.